Hey guys, figured I'd do a quick overview video on a somewhat recent knife purchase. This is a custom from Charles May. The funny thing is, I contacted Charles it would have been a year ago, a little more. I told him I was interested in some of his work, particularly this Bench Barlow model that he does. And he said no problem, and he added me to his list. He said it should be ready around July. And July came and went in August, and I waited, and I never heard from him, so I thought, I don't know, he must have forgotten about me. Well, this year in July, actually it was like June, he contacted me and he was like, I'm now coming to your name on my list, and do you want to proceed? I was like, yeah, sure. I had thought he had completely forgotten me, and I had had some other makers that have done that, which baffles me when you're willing to spend money and they somehow completely forget about you and never contact you. I even had one maker whom I contacted, reminded him I was on my list. This was like a year later. He's like, oh yeah, we can still work something out. And then when I asked him about options, he never responded again. So it's kind of odd, and that's a semi-decent large maker. So anyway, Charles is a great guy though, very stand-up. If you watch his videos, he's just seems like he'd be a great person to be around, real earthy guy. I really like this design. I have not really seen a lot of makers take on just a fixed blade version of a traditional Barlow, normally what you would see in a folder. There's only one design flaw to me. To others there could be some like lack of a guard, but like a traditional knife, that's standard for the most part. This, in the pictures, I thought it was a high hollow grind, like where the entire wheel radius was pretty much to the spine, leaving it really thin behind the edge. It's actually just a pretty flat, it's just a flat grind, and it's pretty stout. It's, if I recall correctly, it's 3/32 D2 stock, and the edge comes, you can see the bevel is semi-wide. The edge comes down to around 30 thousandths thick, and to me that's a design flaw because this knife is so small. I mean 30 thousandths thick is almost as thick as the Kershaw Camp 10 chopper. The only other knife I've had this thick was the R.J. Martin collaboration of Zero Tolerance, and to me that's just far too thick behind the edge, especially in a knife this small. I'm not exactly sure why Charles chooses to leave them that thick. Otherwise though, I mean truly this is one of the most perfect fixed blades I have had. You can see it's got a nice, if I can get my camera to focus here, doesn't really want to do. It's a very nice satin finish. Let's see if I can get a little more light. And I love fixed blades that use engraving. I love makers who use engraving. So it's marked D2 in that. I like engravings because you don't see it a lot. There's only two other makers I know of. That's L. Marshall's knives, and then I know Lucas Burnley does that as well. I think it's a nice touch, especially being uncommon. So, I mean, handle fitting is very nice. It's in green micarta, and I chose stainless pins, which are very nicely polished. And I'll see if I can show you. It's a really gloomy day out, so I don't have very good lighting. So you can see here where the grind bevels meet, and you can see that they're nearly perfect. Like, it's almost a perfectly even grind. Even the edge bevels are almost perfect. Like, you can see they're almost perfectly symmetrical from side to side. I don't know if he uses a jig, but this is probably the best as far as evenness all around, sharpened and close to ground. I mean, it's comparable to like Tom Crine. So quick comparisons. I haven't done a whole lot with the knife yet. I've almost debated if I'm going to keep it or not. Here it is compared to a Joe Calton custom. And a little more accurate as far as stock. Well, even then. That's kind of what I mean. This is Phil Wilson custom, which is a 4-inch blade. And you can see even then, and this was the thinnest I think I could get from Charles, and it's still pretty thin. It's not bad as long as it was ground a little thinner. But you know, the Phil Wilson is over about 4 times exactly thinner behind the edge. So that's the only downside. His leather work is some of the best I've seen as well, and I love these pocket style carry sheaths. I love small fixed blades like this. But I've almost debated maybe selling it just because I don't know how much I'll use it. If anything, I'll probably end up using it as a data point. So that's probably what I'll do. I waited a year for it, and it's still a really nice knife. And if for some reason I wanted to regrind it, I might do that, although I'm not sure. So anyways, thanks as always for watching, guys. Sorry things have been a little slower to roll in. I've recently had some large purchases in other areas. So, but I have more on the way. So, thanks for watching, guys.